So what makes an effective workplace? To understand how businesses can develop a culture of productivity in an office-based environment, we needed to explore the various needs and behaviours that frequently appear in effective workplaces. These behaviours are important not only for working in a traditional sense, but also for encouraging engagement and well-being, for example, regular breaks. From our exploration into the science of productivity, we were able to identify 4 key behavioural needs that are relevant to most organisations for optimising productivity. These are individual flow and focus, optimised teamwork, team-to-team and in-team collaboration, and unplanned interaction. We'll now go on to explain these in more detail, including the challenges that they could each bring to a productive workplace. Individual flow and focus is all about the productive mental state known as flow, which is when we experience deep concentration whilst working on our own, free of any interruptions or distractions. But this behaviour is very fragile, and that when we get into a state of flow, any interruptions or distractions can immediately shatter its effect and leave us open to mistakes, missed deadlines, or any other behaviours which we would describe as ineffective. Consider an open plan office. Is this always well suited to tasks and outputs which rely on a state of flow, focus, and concentration? We need to understand what it is about this familiar setup that can limit us from developing individual state of flow and focus, and also what could be changed about such a layout in a way that would help encourage this style of productive behaviour. Within a structured meeting, productivity takes the form of optimised teamwork. This type of behaviour is often seen in one single team of engaged people, who each contribute fully to the meeting objectives in the allotted time, with room for collaborative thinking and open discussion. But sadly, not everyone has the luxury of seeing this productive behaviour come to life on a daily basis. Studies have shown that people multitask during meetings, and that a lot of senior management look at meetings in general as unproductive and inefficient time wasters. Many even see them as a drain on valuable individual focus time, rather than being a tool for driving quick results. So it's never been more important to consider how we can help nurture productivity within those team meeting settings. Here's where we look at team-to-team and in-team collaboration, and how being face-to-face with each other can be a far more effective form of communication than starting a group email chain. Take into consideration this stat. Different teams are 9 times more likely to interact if they're on the same floor. Looking at this, it stands to reason that you'll want the teams that overlap to communicate in the most effective ways possible. Within one team, you're naturally more likely to interact and speak face-to-face with your colleagues, but it takes a lot more creative thinking to get 2 different teams to come together, whether that's formally in a meeting, reactively in passing, or in casual collaboration. This is where the face-to-face aspect really comes into play. Being 32 times more effective than any other form of workplace communication, face-to-face communication is the main driver in encouraging different teams to interact. But that's not to say that open plan becomes the answer. As studies show, this style of design could decrease face-to-face interactions by up to 70% due to an over-reliance on email or a perceived lack of focus time. This again tends to show why it's important to consider what you're wanting to achieve in various parts of your space. In-team collaboration is also about promoting better breaks and the benefits of team taking breaks together. Breaking together can help teams facilitate better communication and problem solving, as well as helping foster a sense of cohesion. The final behavioural outcome we explored was unplanned interactions. These are the spontaneous exchanges that we're all familiar with. Think of the times you've run into a colleague in the car park or stood chatting to someone you don't know when you're both in line for a coffee. It's these micro-meetings that are the foundation of the strength of weak ties theory, sparking ideas between people who might not ordinarily work together, but who could provide true value in that moment of unplanned interaction. Needless to say, encountering this type of productive behaviour will have almost certainly suffered during the pandemic. But as we start to get back into the physical workspace, we need to look at how we interact across the business and how we can facilitate these moments of spontaneous interaction once again. Of course, anything worth doing comes with its own challenges. Encouraging these 4 key behaviours in the workplace requires careful thought and consideration to the setup as it stands. There's often no structured plan in place to support the behaviours and limited to no capacity available to deal with any current issues like the challenge of open plan offices, unproductive meetings draining our time, or a lack of team interaction, despite us all sitting under one roof. We know that businesses will always want to drive a more productive culture, but what are some of the questions they need to consider first? Let's take a look. How can we get employees to see the value of the office post-COVID? How can we drive inter-organisational interactions? How can we encourage people to take better breaks? How do we do all of this without huge expense and reorganisation?